Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome back to KubeCon North America 2023 here in Chicago, Illinois. My name is Robert Sirchia, community. I'm joined by a former community member, Tim Irnich. Tim, where are you in SUSE now?
Well, I am with the product management team in the Edge BU, and I'm specialized on the telco vertical. So I basically I'm the responsible PM for our telco products.
Okay, telco meaning like cellular only, or do you guys go into anything else beyond? Like, what is define telco for us?
No, telco is basically everything that has to do with use cases in what telecom providers do. So it's fixed networks, it's mobile networks, wireless networks.
Okay.
We have use cases in what is called private wireless networks. Like
okay.
You'll probably know that with 5G, there is for the first time an option to basically use 5G like a Wi-Fi replacement. So you can actually buy the equipment yourself, run it on the frequencies that the regulators have designated for this particular use case. And there are solutions for that use case from Ericsson, Cisco, Huawei, and the likes.
Okay.
So that is included as well.
Okay. So what is SUSE doing with telco right about now?
So yeah, that's actually one of my favorite questions because many people don't necessarily know us as a provider of telco solutions, which is because we have been working for the last 10 to 15 years with a lot of telco companies in something that we call an embedded scenario. So we have not sold directly to communication service providers like Verizon or AT&T or Rogers, but we have actually sold to companies like Ericsson who have embedded our products into their products and then pass them on to the communication providers. So if you, for example, look at
almost upstream, right?
Yeah, well, it's a little bit like that, right?
Okay.
I mean, it's actually something that we as a company have been doing with a lot of other markets too. It's just called the embedded route to market. So our stuff gets embedded into the partner product and they sell it on to the end customer. So we have a long-standing history with Ericsson. If anyone who's running Ericsson Packet Core is actually running SUSE underneath because we're the supporting operating system for Ericsson Packet Core.
Okay.
Same situation with Huawei, actually. Anyone who runs Huawei Packet Core, and I'm not sure if everybody knows, like Huawei is fairly big in Europe with their installed base, and they are really big in Asia and in Africa. So they have they're not playing a lot in the US since approximately 5, 6, 7 years, but everywhere else in the world, they are actually a pretty big number still.
Okay.
So we have a long-standing relationship with both of them. We actually have tight partnerships with Cisco, where we have joint customers and a joint go-to-market. So we've been doing telco for a very, very long time without anyone actually being able to see telco as like a standalone product or a dedicated offering on our website. But there have been a couple of changes in the telecom industry that actually made us take a more direct route to the telco market recently, and that's basically when I was asked to join the PM team and run that initiative.
Okay. So we have a product or a solution, and I don't really know enough about it, but it's called ATIP. So what is ATIP?
So ATIP is an acronym that stands for Adaptive Telco Infrastructure Platform. So to explain that, I need to go a little bit back in history. So the telecom industry has been working on something that's called network function virtualization for a little bit more than a decade now. Like 12, 13 years ago, the telecom industry basically looked around what was happening in the IT world and said, this virtualization thing is actually a good idea. It gives us flexibility. It gives the ability to change not only deployments, but also configuration faster. It gives decoupling of software from hardware. So we can actually buy cheaper hardware. We have a larger choice of hardware providers. So let's do that. And then they started an initiative which was called NFV, Network Function Virtualization, which was basically about let's put the software that runs the network, like for example, the routing engine, into a virtual machine and run it on normal servers instead of special silicon.
Interesting.
So that was all virtualization based, hypervisor based. OpenStack was a big thing, and then over time, the IT world moved from virtual machines over to containers, which had yet another list of benefits: even more flexibility, even better ability to iterate quickly, smaller components, easier to build robust systems because you can split functionality out across a number of containers instead of building monoliths, like the whole microservices versus monoliths debate. And then Kubernetes came into the picture, and everybody wanted to run network functions in Kubernetes all of a sudden. That happened something like 4 or 5 years ago, and us having made the Rancher acquisition 3 years ago suddenly ended up with having an offering that was like 95% ready to be used in telco use cases too. So we only had to do a little bit of different packaging, adding a few bits and pieces here and there, and then we would be able to address those opportunities directly. So that's basically what we did. So we ended up, the telco industry ended up moving in our direction. We ended up moving in their direction. So we are able to meet in the middle now.
Interesting. Now, we're at KubeCon. It's always conference-driven development, right? So,
yeah, sort of.
Yeah, I mean, even with the content we build in the community, it's always, that we release around KubeCon. What do you guys do? Anything big release from the Edge team here at SUSE?
Yeah, we actually don't have anything big here at KubeCon because I'm not sure if you know, the mobile industry is a little bit special in that regard. They have like one big show per year, which is the Mobile World Congress.
Okay.
It happens in Barcelona, February each year. This year it's from this year, like we're in 2023, so February is obviously 2024.
Okay.
But we're kind of in the cycle up to that because it's basically scarily only 3 months away. So it's relatively soon, basically day after tomorrow. So that's when all the big launches, in the telco industry are happening.
So you guys do it, but not at this conference. It'll be there.
Exactly. We're doing it in Barcelona in February. Our engineering team is actually not here, with one exception. So we got a team of about 15 people working on getting the product ready for Barcelona, and that's when we are making the launch of our next big version. So we launched the product last year at Barcelona.
Okay.
That was like version 1.0. It was, you could probably say, some sort of a minimum viable product. We had quite a bit of market success with it, and now this year we're dropping the next big drop of functionality in Barcelona. The key value proposition of our product is two things. Like, the number one is that we are basically providing a telco-ready stack. So if you think of the Linux part, we have our container-optimized and immutable operating system, SLE Micro, and we have all the things that a telco provider cares about built into that operating system now, like the real-time kernel. We're bringing ARM support. We're bringing better tooling to set the operating system up in an unattended way so that nobody has to go to like a cell tower and set up everything manually there. So that is the big thing on like what we call the runtime stack side. But then we also have the management stack, which is basically what Rancher provides. And then we've added a couple of things to Rancher. For example, the ability to manage the operating system directly from Rancher through a project called Elemental. And we've added Cluster API as a industry standard interface that allows operators to build integrations against something that we don't own as a company, or that is like single vendor open source, but something that has actually the backing of a somewhat larger ecosystem, and that is actually a CNCF project.
So we got a little bit of a sneak peek of what we're going to see in Barcelona.
Yeah, so that was basically a sneak peek, and we're actually also launching a couple of interesting partnerships in Barcelona. So we have a partnership that we haven't announced yet with an ORAN provider. We have an open source project here in Europe with a couple of operators, which is Project Silva, which is going to launch the first iteration of their production-ready stack, and we're going to demo that, and a couple of other things which are not finally confirmed, so I can't mention them here. So it's going to be a really good show for us.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Tim, very much, and we'll see the rest of you guys in the community.